Are you excited with the idea that you, in your lifetime, may end up seeing a Mars mission that's manned make contact with the red planet? You and I can dream about astronauts on Mars, but how likely is it really to occur? After all, I'm sure you remember almost every president of recent time have promised that they're going to send a manned mission to Mars.
By pressing the limits of our frontiers, a journey to another planet, a manned mission to Mars.
By the mid-2030s, I believe we can send humans to orbit Mars and return them safely to Earth. And a landing on Mars will follow.
And we're going a lot further now. We're going to the moon, but we're then going to Mars.
But now we see Elon Musk coming up with his Starship plan, and he's claiming that there's going to be at least some interactivity between SpaceX and the red planet in 2027 thereabouts. Around 2022 or so, Musk is planning on having a mission to Mars in which the power, the life support, as well as the mining facilities are already set up and ready to go for any Mars astronauts that follow. But wait, the whole point of a mission to Mars is for the human beings, the astronauts, to survive the trip, survive the landing, and then come on back, or create a sustainable base of operations so this way they can hang out and chill out there on the red planet growing potatoes, kind of like in that book, The Martian. Get ready for the data deep dive and let's explore the future. You can do that by clicking that subscribe button right down there and then hitting all notifications. Give me a like and then share this video. As the engineers and scientists continue to work on the physics as well as the mechanics of this manned Mars mission, the human element is actually a little bit different. If you've ever spent a really long time with a bunch of strangers, you know that people sometimes rub off on each other in a bad way. This 2018 study in the American Psychologist by Landon, Slack, and Barrett, it's called Teamwork and Collaboration in Long-Duration Space Missions Going to Extremes, tell us that collaboration and teamwork among the members is absolutely critical in order to have a successful mission where the humans just don't start turning on each other. There are a number of real studies that have been done experimentally with prospective astronauts to figure out how a team might or might not get along over the course of a long term. One of these testing sites is actually in Antarctica. There's two. And they can hold anywhere from 50 to 1,000 people for 4+ months at a time. Another testing ground to see how the stressors of an inhospitable environment like space would impact a crew's functioning, because that's all they got themselves, is actually the International Space Station. In the latest issue of Popular Science magazine, there is a secret NASA astronaut diary section that reveals the darker side of long-duration spaceflight. In analyzing these secret astronaut diaries, some information comes out. One of these is an effect. Picture this. You're an astronaut. You got picked for the mission, you know your crew, but you've been out there for a couple months. And this effect, psychological closing, starts to take hold on everybody. And the Russian Academy of Sciences tells us that this psychological closing means that you are isolated out there in space. The tasks that you're required to do and the buttons you need to push and get your orbit straight and timing, that all becomes just boring as all get out. And through these studies, they find that the astronauts actually begin to limit their conversations with ground control. We're out here and we're on our own. Now, the Russians have spent the most amount of time in space as humans compared to any other country as far as we know. You also realize that you have a lot more control over the ship and knowledge of the ship and what the heck does what than anybody back there at mission control. Do you think that's significant? Because I sure as heck do. You're going to have some rogue astronauts up there if we are not careful in looking at who the crew is and selecting them. Simply put, you're better at space life and have more experience than the guy or gal in your ear telling you what to do. Has Houston ever had to wear goggles to change a light bulb? NASA behavioral consultants agree that there needs to be some kind of a restraint system put into place for this manned Mars mission, and This way it could combat behavioral emergencies. And that's code for restrain the crew member who is freaking out, because isolation and being closed in can cause all kinds of anxiety symptoms that could result in unpredictable behavior, like trying to escape from the actual capsule. Quote, apply physical force and binding or duct tape manually with the help of another crew member. Restrain a crew member who is experiencing a behavioral emergency. NASA does have a number of crew trainings to deal with these kinds of situations and work together in a functional, workable team. But you're really not going to know how those guys and gals up there behave until perhaps it's too late. Not to mention the physical effects of long-duration spaceflight to Mars. On the way out there, well, the longer that NASA decides to give the mission, let's say that NASA decides, y'all are going to be 1 year. We got a 1 year, one-way trip to Mars. Hey, that's a year. That's a year's worth of radiation. That's a year's worth of eating the same foods. And as one of these astronauts in their secret diaries said, that's also going to be a year of no showers, no contact or little contact with family and friends, and a year of missing rain. Just random little weather events. These things all take their toll. And the way these authors conclude, as far as teamwork in space and preventing a disaster from happening on the way to Mars, is that they need any crew members who may be selected for the manned Mars mission to actually go up to the ISS and experience these conditions and get trained with veteran ISS astronauts. Quote, teams in environments that are analogous to spaceflight, such as some military teams, undergo typical team phases of forming, storming, norming, and performing, which indicates that astronaut teams that are selected for a long-duration exploration mission will need several weeks to complete this training cycle and teamwork before they can even reach the performing phase before launch. What I'm really curious about is what your ideas are for how to prevent a behavioral freakout during a manned mission to Mars, whether SpaceX is able to pull that off within the next 10 years or not. The United Arab Emirates says that they're going to have a fully functional city, at least in their plans, by 2117 on the surface of Mars. So we better start getting on this. So what are your ideas? Let me know down there in the comments section. If you like this space data deep dive, don't forget to also click that subscribe button, click notifications, and then share this video. Oh, and by the way, you might like this next video in the same topic. Click it! I forgot what this button does. I really don't think this button matters for anything. Why did they even put it there?